Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Crit House. Today we have another of our My Five series, and we have folks from Texas with us at the A. Smith Gallery, Amanda Smith and Kevin Tully, who are the gallery directors at the A. Smith Gallery in Johnson City, Texas, which I gather is about an hour west of Austin. Is that right?
That's right.
Exactly right.
Well, Amanda and Kevin, thanks for joining us here. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
You for having us.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So Amanda has spent 30 years as a photographer, and her work is in collections across the country. And Kevin is a photographer and a designer and an artist as well. And I gather you have a gallery cat named Izzie.
We do. She's around here somewhere.
Unfortunately,
I don't know
yeah.
where she went.
Unfortunately, Izzie has lost her eyesight.
Yeah,
so
she had to retire from being the
she had to
gallery
retire, but
Aw.
she's probably the most photographed cat in the country.
Big black cat.
Well, it's very nice to have you here. So tell us a little bit about the A. Smith Gallery and what you guys do, and what's the business like?
Well, I started the gallery 13 years ago, and it's all been based on a call for entry process, and the exhibitions were hung, and people would come in and look at them, and all was going well. And then 2 years after that, Kevin came along, and I don't know, it just kept growing and expanding.
Well, the wonderful thing that Amanda did was, because of her fine art photography background, she was very knowledgeable about photography and the photography world, and so she has always been able to choose really good jurors, and that's made a big difference. I mean, that's really elevated our game. That was an incredibly important part of the success of the gallery. So that and the workshops, we've done a lot of workshops, which is, it's also connected us to a lot of really wonderful photographers across the country.
Yeah, photographers are a good group.
Yeah, yeah.
Very giving. Yeah.
I like to. Well, thanks. It's good to know, and it's very nice to meet you as well here. So tell us, I asked you to select 5 images, and you then had to go back and figure out, well, what are you going to do? So what is the process you went through in deciding which 5 images we are going to be talking about today?
Well, one of the things we always did in the gallery was have people select their favorite images. They'd come in and it'd get them involved. They'd write it down on a little piece of paper, and at the end I would count all the votes, and whoever got, the visitors award is what we called it. Well, when COVID happened and, no one was coming in the gallery, everything changed. So we started using Instagram. So I posted all the images on Instagram, and people would vote, like the image. So all of this came about with the most likes on Instagram. That's how these 5 images were selected.
Well, we were thinking about this, and how were we possibly going to go back and
hard.
choose?
This is really hard.
I mean, we drink enough as it is anyway. So I mean,
well, I didn't mean to drive you to drink in here.
Amanda came up with this concept, and I think it's a great idea. So we've chosen 5 of the most current. Is that right?
From 2022.
Okay.
The 5 highest like numbers from 2022.
For the Visitors Award.
Yeah, for the Visitors Award. And it's really amazing. These images all hang together so beautifully. They're all black and white. It's all women photographers. It's just an amazing group of images.
I noticed that.
It's just great.
Well, let's take a look at them.
Yeah.
So your first image is lovely, from Amy Lowry. Tell us about this, and what do you know about the image?
Well, Amy wrote a really nice little piece about it. You want to read that, Kevin?
Okay. The statement she has with this particular image is there is a mystery about an empty chair. Who sat there? Why? When? And where are they now? The series was inspired in part by the pandemic, which forced us to be distant, to stand or to sit 6 feet apart. I began arranging chairs at random in my backyard, staging them as though they were engaged in conversation or not. Winters in Maine can be brutal. This photograph was taken during one of many blizzards from inside a glass porch looking out. I imagine them thinking back to better days, back before COVID, when ... the parties were grand, weren't they? It's just a fantastic image. And the other thing about all these photographers, they've all been professional in some way in the photography and art field.
Let's
and the other thing that's so wonderful about images like this, and I picture this image in the summertime with the
Yeah.
with the lawn, and
It's
it
completely
doesn't
different.
work as well.
Yeah.
This is just, the timing's perfect.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
exhibition this was in was forgotten. So
Good one.
chairs
Good
have been
one.
forgotten.
Your number 2 is from Ann Mitchell.
Yeah, and lives in California. And you want to read her?
And this is it's a very dramatic image.
Yes.
I don't know that we have enough time to do all that. I tell you what, I'll read the first paragraph.
Sure.
Thoughts on lost light. Trees have played a strong role in my work, whether grouped along a path or isolated and standing on their own. They have both a presence and a personality. As characters, they embody hope, loss, grief, life, age, and strength. That is often their role in these landscapes. It's just everything about. I mean, the technical aspects of this image are wonderful. Apart from the art part of it, I mean, it's real dramatic because of the contrast, and the composition is fantastic.
So this was part of a trees exhibition. Kevin happened to be the juror in that one.
Well,
And it's got somewhat of a pictorialist nature to it, which I like also.
I do too, and I just love I mean, it's not a path because it's a creek or something going through.
Right.
It's a lovely to take you through into someplace else, into that background.
Right.
I applaud the choice.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you to everybody that voted.
Let's look at number 3 from Catherine Carter.
Yeah, this is a special one because I don't know if you're familiar with that recent call for entry we did, which was story. And I wrote stories for each one of the images. And this was one that was chosen. And I'm not going to read the story here, but it just really worked out well. This image has got, it's got myth involved with it. It tells such an amazing story. But what she has to say is, I've always loved fairy tales, fables, and myths, and vividly remember my father reading Grimm's fairy tales to me as a child. Even at a young age, I could feel that there was a life lesson or maybe a roadmap for living hidden within the story. Their universal appeal and archetypal characters speak to the collective consciousness that unites us as humans. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have gotten a better image to write a story about.
It got the director's award too.
It did.
Yeah, it's there's so many layers to this, with the texture that goes throughout, and then with her and the snake. It's you can keep looking at it for quite some time.
It's just rife with meaning, right?
And it made a great story.
Yeah.
Well, nice job, Catherine. So this one I think I have seen before, from Karen Rosenthal. Tell us about this.
Yeah. This is actually a silver gelatin image. Karen works in film all the time and has for years, many years. Do you want to? She has a really good statement about this.
Okay. It says, floating hand. I almost didn't take this photograph. I thought it was cheating. Many years before, while on a year-long fellowship to Greece, I was building a visual vocabulary for my new nudes and water series in partnership with the intense Mediterranean light, and was thrilled to learn that I could block the sun's reflection from flaring with something as small as a hand. I took one of my first successful images. That day, light in Greece with its still silvery haze was perfect for my abstract figures. Years later, on a rare Greek-like day on Cape Cod, the haze was just right to allow the same effect. So I copied myself. If you rip yourself off, I soon realized it's called style, not cheating. Yeah, that's right.
That's just a beautiful
Yeah,
image.
it is.
Do you remember what show this was in? It seems like that. I wonder if this was the one that my image was in.
Light.
It
was Light.
I think it was. Was that Aileen Smithson that juried that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's right. That's
Yes,
right.
It's the same one. That's
Yeah.
what I was in. If I remember seeing it at the time, that's why it's familiar. It's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice image.
And this one's fantastic as well, from Vicki Reed, your 5th and final image.
Yeah.
Vicki is a friend. We're in a group together called Shootapalooza, which is a group of alternative process photographers. It's mostly women, and they're all really good. Vicki's story is great too, because she got her start as a photographer, I think working for a local small town newspaper. Yeah. During the pandemic and recent political climate, I experienced uncertainty and anxiety for the future of our world. I longed for balance and calm, so I began experimenting with symmetry in my frequent photographic nature walks. Using mirror images, I created an imaginary world called Symmetria, where balance and calm are the norm. where there is no difference between the left and the right. This series has provided a place for me to retreat for peace, calm, and hope.
Love it. And it's a long walk from where she was in journalism to an image like that.
I mean, she talks about, trying to, I always had an artistic bent, I'm sure. And she talks about trying to make her journalistic photography a little bit more interesting, a little bit more arty. And one of her first tries of that was to lay down in a field while a tractor was coming at her. I think it apparently was successful, right?
Yes.
Adventure photography as well.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Amanda Smith and Kevin Tully, thank you so much for joining us here on the Crit House from the A. Smith Gallery in Johnson City, Texas. It's been great talking to you and great seeing the images from your gallery. And we hope we can talk to you soon. Thank you all for watching the Crit House.